Well, we have noticed, Popcorn, that you have a limited number of shirts, and we have seen this shirt before, but I'm on a fixed income. I'm 64 years old, semi-retired, and I don't have a lot of dough to keep you entertained with not the same old shirt. But now that Donald Trump is president, he has mentioned the forgotten Americans and seems to want to bring jobs back to America. And what's wrong with that? It sounds good to me. But, well, here's another one that, here goes again. No, not this book again, but here we go. The Religion by Tim Willocks, Willocks, an historical novel about the Siege of Malta in 1565. This was, Malta was an island defended by the Knights Hospitallers, and a vast Muslim fleet came to attack. And it didn't look like they had much hope on Malta. But more to the point, the thing about this book is that the central character, Matthias Tannhauser, is able to walk in both worlds. He can walk in the Muslim world, and he can walk in the Christian world. At the age of about 10, he, in one of the constant crusades going on between Muslims and Christians, most of Tannhauser's family is killed, but he is taken in by a kind-hearted Muslim and brought back to the east and becomes a janissary, which is an elite military unit, a member of an elite military unit. And until about the time he's 25, he's in the janissaries and learning the Muslim ways. But then he becomes disillusioned and leaves and goes back to Europe and becomes a soldier of fortune, fighting on whichever side. But at the Siege of Malta, Tannhauser is able to walk in both worlds. And it seems to me, well, first, okay, Tannhauser, he can walk in the Muslim world and he can walk in the Christian world, but deep down he doesn't believe either side or either religion. If he's in the Muslim world, he'll say the Muslim prayers, and if he's in the Christian world, he'll say the Christian prayers, but he doesn't really believe it at all until he is redeemed by love. And the women will like this, that there is romance in this book, The Religion. So Tannhauser, I intuit he is to be redeemed by love. I still have less than 100 pages to go, but I intuit that he is finally redeemed by love. Which brings us to the new president, Donald Trump, who, it seems to me, he too, like Tannhauser, can walk in both worlds. He can walk in the liberal world, and he can walk in the conservative world. He is broad-minded. But for some reason, portions of the left are foaming at the mouth. Early on, Donald Trump stopped the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and you'd think that the left would be happy about this. Donald Trump wants to bring jobs back to the United States. And you would think that Michael Moore would be happy that his beloved Flint, Michigan is on the verge of seeing a resurgence in factories, automaking factories. So why isn't the left happy? You got me. It's what WorldNet Daily, Trump derangement syndrome. This is something that, from what I can find, it was WorldNet Daily that first introduced this term, Trump derangement syndrome, where portions of the so-called left are blinded by this unreasonable hatred of Donald Trump. When Donald Trump, it seems to me, he can walk in both worlds. Yeah, sure, I mean, there is the distinction that he is not a globalist, he is a nationalist, and personally I tend to favor that, although there are times I dissent, as we all can, but there seems to be this insanity coming from the left, portions of the left. And there was this huge siege of Malta against Donald Trump. He was like the Knights Hospitallers on Malta. And during the campaign and during the transition of power, there was this tremendous siege against President Trump. But against all odds, he has managed to repel the siege. And there's been, thank goodness, a peaceful transition of power, and the new administration seems to be settling in. And of course there's the usual squabbles, but it's been a good example, I think, to the world that Hillary Clinton was going to be forced upon us, but the people rose up. And an amazing victory occurred. And then there was the question of, but will there be a peaceful transition of power? And again, a good example to the world that in spite of the fractious differences, there was or has been here up to now a peaceful transition of power. And now we settle into the squabbles, which is normal. So let the squabbles begin.